Hi, my name's Paul Grogan and welcome to the latest instalment of the Gaming Rules Monthly video log. This video is being recorded on the morning of Thursday the 5th of March and it's going to cover everything that I've been doing since the last video log, which was around the start of February, so it's pretty much a 4-week period. I'm going to be talking about all the games that I've been playing, references to some of the work that I've been doing, the projects that I've got coming up next month, etc, etc. Let's dive in first of all to the bit that most of you are interested in, and that is everything that I've been playing. Now, the plan was that I would be actually recording this video yesterday on Wednesday afternoon. However, plans yesterday went a little bit awry, so I'm actually recording this, as mentioned at the start, on the Thursday morning. And that means you're also going to get in the games that I played last night at the local Clumpton Games Group. Anyway, let's crack on with Arkham Horror. So in the last 4 weeks, we've played 2 games of our Arkham Horror campaign, one on the 11th and one on the 18th. So for those of you that don't know, we are currently playing through the Arkham Horror card game, The Path to Carcosa. We have just completed, well, on the 18th, Chapter 6. So, loving it. I mean, it's one of my favourite games of all time. I've talked about it many times, and if you want to see us playing through the game, there are plenty of videos. We've actually done a live stream playthrough of the first 3 scenarios, or the whole 3 scenarios in the Night of the Zealot, and we've done 6 now of Carcosa, and the other 2 are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So Chapter 5 and 6. I don't want to really give any spoilers away, but Chapter 5 saw us wandering around a city looking for somebody, and that was interesting. One of the things about the Path to Carcosa campaign is that all of the scenarios actually feel quite different. In the way that it introduces more mechanisms for various things that's going on. So yeah, Chapter 5 was wandering around a city looking for somebody, and obviously there was bad stuff happening, but the way that that scenario used the doom counters, which is normally a driver for a negative thing happening, it was kind of turned on its head. That was quite interesting. Chapter 6 saw us in the Catacombs, and again the mechanisms of the game changed, and there was like this exploration mechanism where we had to basically explore around and find stuff. Loving the campaign, loving the game. My character in Chapter 6, I'm playing Lola. Now, Lola is a very interesting character. She's a neutral character whose deck is made up of 3 different classes and has to switch roles and can only play cards from the role that she's chosen. I wish I hadn't have chosen this character. In some ways, I'm glad I did because it's different. But it does my head in. I just can't. With everything else that's going on, I'm constantly making mistakes with this character, doing things when I can't. So it's not a character I would choose to play again. It's a very clever character, and for some people it's really interesting and they'd really enjoy it. For me, I'm really struggling with it. And Chapter 6, the look went against me really badly. We're playing on the easy setting, so we're doing okay. We haven't had any major incidents yet. My character did actually, get driven insane in the last scenario, which, don't worry, doesn't mean that I'm completely out of it. It just means that I start the next game with 1 mental trauma, but that hasn't happened to us yet so far. So anyway, that's Chapter 5 and that's Chapter 6, and we've got the next 2 coming up. I'll talk about that in my what's coming up in the next few weeks bit, but yeah. 2 chapters of Arkham Horror. Next up, 13th of February, I played a 2-player game of Black Angel. Now, Black Angel is one of the games which my Patreon supporters voted on that I would do a review of in February. And that review is actually on the channel now. But in order for me to be able to do the review, I had to play it a few more times, and I hadn't played it at 2-player. So Paul was around for something else, and we played a 2-player game. And I talk about this in the review, but it was a really interesting game because we took completely different strategies. Paul was building up his engine, he was getting lots of resources, putting lots of technologies on his board, doing all of that. I did none of that. None of that at all. I was going for special technologies, or advanced technologies they're called, and putting lots of cards on the map and getting bonuses that way. And when the game ended, we both tied on points. So, yeah, anyway, so that's 2-player game of Black Angel. I also played, since we're talking about Black Angel, I did a solo game of it on the 18th. So, my channel now has 3 Black Angel videos. I did a tutorial and playthrough video, which was a 4-player game that I did back in October last year, or was it November? Anyway, sometime at the end of last year, there is a 4-player tutorial and playthrough video on my channel. I also did the solo playthrough, which I live streamed, so that's on the channel as well. That went live a couple of weeks ago. And as of last week, there is now a review of Black Angel on my channel as well. So if you want to basically see us playing through Black Angel or hear what I think about it in more detail, those videos are on the channel now. Back to the 13th, while Paul was here doing the Black Angel game, we also did two videos for games which are actually on Kickstarter right now. So the first one is the Ming Voyages, designed by Alan Paul and David Mortimer, UK designers, friends of mine. I'll be honest about that, I'll be upfront about that straight away after I plug in their Kickstarter, excuse me. I'm not had breakfast yet this morning, I really should. Anyway, those games are on Kickstarter right now. So it's the Ming Voyages, as I say, designed by Alan and David together. It's number 2 in the small war game series. So Cousins War was the first one, which came out a couple of years ago. And this is the next one in the series. It is a 2-player game, although there is a solo variant, where one player is basically the Emperor of China and trying to go on all these voyages, and protect from the Mongols attacking. The barbarians are attacking, and the barbarian player has to basically attack and, you know, get in and things like that. So we did, on the 13th, we did a live tutorial and playthrough video for that game. So if you want to see that game, that's on the channel. And at the time of filming this video, the Kickstarter is still live and going quite well. Also on the same day, we did another game, so game number 3 in the Small War Game series. This is just by Alan. This is the March of Progress, and we actually did a twofer, because the first game we played, this is a really simple game, really clever, little simple game. It comes with multiple scenarios, and we played the first game in like 10 minutes, or maybe even 15 minutes. So we just went, let's go again, and we played one of the other scenarios. So again, I know I'm going to be saying this a lot, but a lot of the games I play are live streamed out so that you can watch them later. So Ming Voyages is on the channel, March of Progress is on the channel. We played those on the 13th. I'd actually played March of Progress the day before while learning it, but I didn't actually record that on BGG. Right, next 14th of February, Valentine's Day. What better than to get friends round and play some board games? Now, Vicky stayed downstairs that night because she doesn't really play board games, but we played Rush MD. Now, Rush MD is a game which I've had my eye on for a while. It is the second game in the Rush series, following on from Kitchen Rush, which a friend of mine, Tom Heath from Slicker Drips, is a big fan of. I'm not a fan of real-time dexterity games, I'll be honest with you, okay? But Tom sold me on this game. It sounded fantastic. Kitchen Rush sounded really great. I don't have Kitchen Rush, I've not played it, but Rush MD is a similar sort of thing, but you're all doctors. And it's played in real time, and there is a dexterity element to it, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll play it. I'm not sure how the live stream is going to go. A live stream of a real-time game with us all shouting at each other, that's not going to work, is it? So I learnt the game in the afternoon, and me and Vicky played a few rounds of it in the afternoon, and it's actually really good, and Vicky liked it as well. Now, Vicky's not a big gamer, and she will only like certain games, but she did actually enjoy it. And the Friday night live stream, I don't mean this to sound arrogant, but it went fantastic. It was great fun to play. There was a lot of people in the chat. Thank you to everybody for joining in the chat. Because obviously, normally, when I'm doing a live stream, I'm engaging with the audience and I'm looking at the chat and I'm talking and everything else. This one, I couldn't. I was just let the chat to basically, everybody in the chat talked amongst themselves while we frantically played the game. And it worked. It worked really well. It worked on the live stream, which I wasn't sure it would. The game itself is really well designed. You know, as I say, it's real time, it's dexterity, but it's very clever in the way that it works. It basically uses sand timers, and your doctor is a sand timer, and you put it on a space and you do that action, but you can't do anything again until the sand timer has run out. But you also have nurses as well that can do stuff, and you've got to restock supplies, you've got to treat patients. It's very thematic in the way that it works. You've got to admit patients, some of them need tests, then based on the results of the test, you've got to send them in for surgery or give them some medication, and you've got all of this going on. It's a game I definitely would play more, and Vicky liked it, so yeah, it's a game that I can see the two of us playing together. So that is Rush MD. Video is on the channel now from the live stream. On the 15th, so Sunday the 15th, Vicky's parents came over. They were going to an antique shop nearby, and they just popped in, and we had a chat and everything else, and we went for food, and then afterwards, I got them to play Categorical. Now, I bought them a copy of Wibble Plus a couple of Christmases ago. So this is designed by Stuff by Bez, and Wibble Plus is a small deck of cards. I've given some away. I've given one away as a giveaway on the show earlier this year. No, last year. And basically you can play multiple games with this deck of cards. Wibble is one of them, Grabble, Fable, and there's a couple of other ones. And Categorical is a game which you can also play, which is in the box. It's not designed by Bez, it's designed by somebody called Tom, but Categorical is really good fun. And I've talked about this on previous video logs, and it's just a lot of fun. So I played it with them and they were like, oh, this is really interesting. Can you send us the rules for this game? We want to play it. So that went down well. Speaking of Categorical, and I didn't know this at the time, but Bez has actually got a Kickstarter running right now for Categorical. So you actually get, I believe you get the Wibble, it's now called the L deck, so E-double-L, the L deck, rather than Wibble. And in that, obviously with those cards you can play Categorical, which is fantastic, but you can play all of the other games as well. What next? 17th and 18th. So Vicky's been off work for 3 weeks because she's between jobs. She started a new job this week, but on the 17th and the 18th of February, we played Catacombs of Horror. So this is an exit game. This is the big box exit game because it's in 2 parts. It's twice the price, but it's twice the length of a normal exit game, and we love the exit games. And this one, a lot of people have said was really good, and we really enjoyed it. We needed a few hints for where we got a bit stuck, where some of the puzzles were a little bit abstracted. And yet again, we managed to do it without destroying any of the components, which if you've played this one, you will think, well, that's impossible, because there is one part of this game which you absolutely need to destroy the component in order to be able to do it. We didn't. Because what happened is we worked out what we needed to do. I then contacted the previous owner of the game, who I'd bought it from secondhand. Thank you, Chris. And said, look, Chris, we got to this point here. We don't want to destroy the game, just like you didn't want to destroy the game. Can you give us the answer to this puzzle? And I know some people say we're not experiencing the full experience of the game because we're not destroying bits, but I now have a complete game that I can lend to a friend. And they can play it as well. So we've played a number of the exit games now and we've managed not to destroy any of the components. 17th and 18th we played Catacombs of Horror. Fantastic game, loved it, but as I say, I like all of those games anyway. No video on that for a change. Right, Club Night, Clumpton Games Group on the 19th saw something very different. The Clumpton Games Group is normally between 8 and 15 people and we play Euro games. We play a mixture of Euro games because there are some new gamers to the club. So we play some lighter games, but we also play some heavier games sometimes as well, depending on who's there. We normally split up into like 3 or 4 groups. But it is Euro games that we play. On the 19th of February, we played Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare, which is basically a miniatures war game, is what it is. Now, I've spent 9 months, or 10 months now, painting the miniatures for this game. I've talked about it on some of my previous video logs, and in the last video log I showed some pictures of it. Well, I finally put those to good use. Some people were interested in playing, and we played it. Now, I'll be honest with you, Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare, like a lot of the games in the Command & Colours series, so Battle Law 2, Command & Colours, what's the other one? Memoir 44, it's a dice fest, right? It is not a Euro game by any stretch of the imagination. It is put little miniatures on the map, whether they be spaceships or archers or World War II infantrymen, whatever, move them, roll a bunch of dice and see what you do. Now, there is a tactical element to the game, but the luck element is actually quite high because of the dice that you roll, and that's just what it is. Now, we don't play war games at the club, and we don't play miniature war games, and as you know, I'm a Euro gamer, and I don't like dice, and I don't like luck. We had a fantastic night, right? 4 of us played it. It's a 2-player game, but we played with 2 people per side. So it was me and Emily versus Paul and Joseph. And we played it, and the game was over in about an hour and a half, and then we had time to basically play the next scenario in the series, because I'd managed to paint enough ships to be able to play the first 2 scenarios. So we played it again, and we got both games in within 3 hours. Now, I had arrived at the club early because it took me 30 minutes to take all of the miniatures out and put them on the bases. You can store them in the bases, but because I've painted them, the storage method that I've got basically means I have to take them apart and put them in anyway. It took absolutely ages. The setup time for this game is a lot. It is a huge amount. And as I say, the game is pretty random, but thoroughly enjoyed it, had a great time, and it was actually good to do something a bit different. And at the end of the day, we enjoyed ourselves. We enjoyed the game. And 5 to 10 years ago, I would have sort of said I wouldn't enjoy a game like that because it was too random and too luck-based. But I did enjoy it, although, as I say, you know, there were swingy dice rolls in the game, and that probably decided the outcome of that game more than any tactical decisions. But at the end of the day, the game was fun to play. So anyway, want to be playing more of that. I've got more miniatures to paint. Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare. Next up is the 20th. So I played what was the first of many games of Expedition to Newdale. According to my recorded plays list, from the 20th of February until Tuesday night, I think, I've played 7 games of Expedition to Newdale, all solo. I've been playing it a lot. I'm quite addicted to the game. It's actually set up over there, and I don't want to take it away because my painting mojo has gone for the moment, hopefully temporarily, but I've got to do something while watching TV because otherwise I fall asleep. So I've been playing Expedition to Newdale. And yeah, I want to play the whole campaign. There's 8 scenarios in the campaign, and you're supposed to play it, and if you don't succeed at the solo game, you're supposed to replay it. Now, the designer has said, look, if you've played it a couple of times and you're still not succeeding, just move on. Don't get frustrated by it. I'm currently on Chapter 5. I played Chapter 5 is the last one that I played, and I was just shy by 1 point. I'm going to count that as good enough, and I'm going to move on to Chapter 6, because I want to play all of them. Anyway, Expedition to Newdale, I've played 7 games in the last 2 weeks, all solo, but I have played it at 2-player, 4-player, whatever. I've done a review of it, and the reason why I was playing it solo in order to basically give me an idea of the solo game, ready to do the review. I have done the review, so that's on the channel now, but also that I've done 4 videos now on Expedition to Newdale. There's the review. There is a tutorial and playthrough video back from last year when me and Paul learnt how to play the game from the rulebook and then played it. And I've done 2 solo playthroughs of it as well. So they're all on the channel now. If you want to know more about Expedition to Newdale, that is there. What's next? Feast for Odin Norwegians. I've done 3 videos for Feast for Odin Norwegians. I have done an unboxing video. I've done a 4-player game, which was live streamed on the channel on Friday the 21st. And on the 25th, I did a solo playthrough. Now, I've not done a review of Feast for Odin Norwegians. I have done a review of Feast for Odin, and I have said in the past it is one of my favourite games of 2016. And when I say one of my favourite, it's in my top 2. It's Great Western Trail and Feast for Odin. And Feast for Odin Norwegians, a number of people have said to me, it's a fantastic expansion. And a couple of people have even said, it fixes problems you didn't even know were there. And I'm like, well, Feast for Odin's fantastic. There's no problems with Feast for Odin. Well, okay, animals are maybe not as strong as they should be and this, that, and the other. Anyway, I was expecting to like Feast for Odin Norwegians, and I did. And I will now not play the base game without Norwegians. Although it changes quite a bit in terms of the entire actions are different, a lot of them are very similar. So, oh, hang on a minute. Thor's being naughty. Thor's attacking our mouse. She's in a cage. It's all fine. Come here, you. Yeah, you know you're not allowed to do that. This is the problem with filming downstairs. I thought I'd have something a bit different and film downstairs. And Thor's come in. Because it's raining outside, Thor's basically in all day, going crazy. And Marble's up, our mouse. Yeah, Marble's not bothered. Thor's like all over the cage, batting it and everything else. And Marble's inside just sat there staring at him going, yeah, what do you want? Come on then. Anyway, tough little cookie is our Marble. Feast for Odin Norwegians is what I was talking about. Fantastic game. Love it. Videos on the channel. Go and check them out. I missed out on Feast for Odin Norwegians the first time it came out, so I'm glad I got a copy this time because I believe it's also in short supply again. I don't know why they don't print more of them. It's very good. Next one, Age of Steam. Talk about this is what I've written down. Brilliant. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for those notes in your detailed notes. Age of Steam. So we were doing an Age of Steam game on Friday. Last week, yes. I basically do my weekly plans. At the start of the week, I basically tell everybody what my plans are for the week. And the Friday game was undecided. I didn't know what game I was going to play last Friday because I didn't have any sponsored playthroughs planned. So it was like, right, well, we'll see who can come round. We'll see how many people are coming round, and then we'll pick a game. And there were 5 people coming round. So I thought, okay, right, well, we'll either do Age of Steam or we'll do Lancaster. And I was undecided as to which. I did a vote on Twitter and I did a vote on a Facebook group, and Age of Steam won that vote. So I thought, right, we're doing 5-player Age of Steam. And to be fair, although I think Lancaster is a brilliant game, and I think it's the better game, and I want to play Lancaster more, I also really wanted to play Age of Steam, because I've only really played the 3-player game, which was done on a playthrough, so that video is on my channel last year, and that game didn't go quite well. It went well for me because I won, but the reason I'm saying it didn't go quite well is that Tom and Paul bid against each other on round 1. Paul screwed himself over completely. I won the game. By the end of round 1, it was clear that I was in the best position, and I just played average for the rest of the game, and I easily won. Tom did really well to recover his position, whereas Paul was completely screwed. So that was like a 3-hour game that was over really in rounds 1 or 2. And I was thinking, I wonder if all games of Age of Steam are like this, because if they are, that's a bit of a problem. So I was very keen to play it again because I wanted more information. I didn't want my entire experience to be tainted by that one play. And then Stephen contacted me on the Thursday and said, I know it's a bit late, but if you've still got space on Friday, I'm free. Now, Stephen's a friend of mine who I don't see as often as I'd like. And I went, well, hang on a minute. Age of Steam takes 6 people. Maybe we could do 6-player Age of Steam. But I've never had 6 people in the studio doing a live stream. I've had 5 before, but I've never had 6. My studio is basically a spare room and it's not that big. Okay, first problem. Second problem, although Age of Steam takes 6 players, you probably shouldn't play it with 6 players, right? Because it's one of those games where I'd got the impression that it didn't really work at super high player counts, but because I've got the deluxe edition with the expansions, I have the France map. Well, in fact, I've got 2 maps, which, according to a forum on BGG, basically say that they are specifically suited to 6 people. So France and southern US. And I thought, well, let's do France. And I had a look at the rules for the France map, and I was like, oh, because what's interesting is that each map has slightly different rules that really change the game. And the France map has some very different rules. And it actually said in there, just checking on Thor, make sure you're not being too naughty. No, he's giving up now. The France map, according to John Bora, who designed the map, it says this is great for 6 people who are new to the game. Now, bearing in mind, 4 people who played that game on Friday night had never played the game before. Paul was experienced at it and I'd played it once before. So I was like, great, we've got our map. It says it takes 6. It says it's best with 6. It says it's good for new players. And that was Friday night. I was a little worried about the teach because I was supposed to be doing a tutorial and playthrough. And although it's not a sponsored video on my channel, if I deliver a rules teach, which is less than perfect, people who are going to watch that video and go, oh, I thought Paul was supposed to be good at teaching games and he was a bit all over the place. So I try and make the teaching part of it as good as I can be. And I'll be honest, I was really nervous. My anxiety level spiked in the afternoon and I was nervous about six people in the studio, a 6-player game. Oh my God, it's going to go on forever. We're going to be here till 2 in the morning and I don't know the game as well as I'd like. And it went fantastic. I loved it. People said that the teach was fine. 6 players was fine. The map was great. The game was really interesting. I won't spoil it. It did take 4 hours. The playthrough is on the channel right now, but it was a great game and I loved it and I wanted to play again straight away. But it was midnight and everybody had to go home and I had to go to bed. I couldn't go to sleep because I was too hyped up after playing the game and I got about 3 hours sleep that night and I was ill most of the weekend. But anyway, it was a great night and I want to play Age of Steam again. If I could play solo, I would. And that was it. That was all I was going to talk about. But last night at the Clumpton Games Group, 2 games of Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn, designed by Isaac Vega, published by Plaid Hat Games, is my favourite Dueling Wizards card game. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. I don't play it anywhere near as much as I'd like, and I'm not anywhere near a competitive player. I've got the core set, I've got some of the expansions, and I only ever play the game with the pre-built decks. I tried making my own deck once and played it and went, nah, this is too much work. If you're really into the game, sure, you can make your own deck and it'll be fantastic. But I just like playing the game with the decks that are included in the box. The game is fantastic. I just love it. I can't say enough good things about it. It's very clever. It's very interesting. Mechanically, it's great the way it works, the way it uses the dice as mana. Yeah, fantastic. So Rick had already played before, Ian had already played before, although Ian was playing a load of rules wrong, and we taught Steve. So 4 of us played it last night, 2 2-player games, and then we swapped over and played again. So that was last night. And then I played a few rounds of just one, just to finish the night off. Didn't really play a full game of it, but we had like 20 minutes before we had to be out. So Mark got just one out and we just played a couple of rounds of that. And that is it. That is everything that I've played since the last video log. Now let's move on to the Patreon. So Patreon update. I try not to be too negative because February did end on a plus, okay? The end of February, the support that I got was a little bit more than it was at the start. So overall, it was a positive month. The negative, more people dropped their support of me in February than have done in any previous month. And it's one of those things, as a Patreon, as a content creator who does stuff on Patreon, it's one of those things you've got to take. Obviously, people leave, people's financial circumstances change, and that's fine. And you get the times of the year where that happens. And obviously, some of the people that left exit survey saying, I'm really sorry to have to drop my support, but just lost my job and things like that. And that's fine. You know, those things happen. But it was in a month where I'd actually produced a lot more free content for Patreon supporters, or funded through the Patreon than I have done normally. I think on average I was spending 15 to 20 hours a week doing Patreon stuff. So that, yeah, a lot of the last 4 weeks has been spent producing Patreon content, which means I haven't actually been doing my paid job. So a massive thank you to the new supporters that I've had in February, because as I say, it did end on a positive. So that means I got more new supporters than normal, but more people leaving than normal. And a massive thank you to all of the people that have stuck with me, either for the last few months or those people that have been with me from the start. I want to keep on making this Patreon stuff. I want to keep making more content, but of course, all of the content that I'm making is taking me away from the paid job. So I have to balance it out with how much money I'm making from the paid job against how much money I'm making from the Patreon. But anyway, yeah, so that's where we are. Let's talk about some new people then. So, new executive producers on screen right now. So Tony, Arne, Morton, Paul and Stefan. Thank you very much. And 2 people have upgraded their pledge, which is Mohammed and Steve. So thank you very much for your support at executive producer level. We have some new producers, which are Alex, Chris, Harold, James, Jim and Steve. Thank you very much for your support. And some additional supporters at a lower level, which is Aaron, Don, Graham, Jay and Radu. Thank you very much for all of your support. As mentioned at the start, it's your new support this month that has basically ended up the month being in a slight positive after the negative. But anyway, yeah, and thank you to the people sticking with me. So that's where we are with the Patreon. Now, every month I do a Patreon contest. And the contest last month was to win a copy of On the Underground. So this is still sealed. This is On the Underground, designed by Sebastian Bleasdale. This is the new edition. Came out last year from Luda Creations. It's London and Berlin. It's basically a double-sided map, so you've got 2 games in one. And let's head on over to the computer to do the draw. So here are all the executive producers listed. Now, if you're an executive producer, you get 3 entries into the draw. And then below that, we have all of the normal producers, and they get 1 entry into the draw. So we're looking at 485 potential things on here. So we do a random number generator, and we have found 230, which if we scroll up is... Right, so this is Harry. So congratulations, Harry, for winning copy of Under the Ground. I've actually contacted Harry. Harry lives over in Crete, and I need to get him the game somehow. I will work out how I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll take a holiday in Crete. Yeah, it's a shame you can't go to Lyricon this year, because otherwise I could have just taken it there and given it there. But congratulations to Harry for winning that. Harry, by the way, is he's the guy who sorts out the thing that I'm going to be doing in the summer. So every year I'm going to be doing a Patreon supporters top 10. So Patreon supporters of mine can basically vote. Am I doing top 10 or top 5? I can't remember. Probably top 10. But Patreon supporters of mine, I think at producer level and higher, get to vote on what their top 5 games are of all time. And then I will put all of those results together. And Harry's the one that created all of that back-end system for me to do that. So thank you very much, Harry. Congratulations on winning. This month, and you're going to get a copy of the Maracaibo expansion as well. I will put it in there. This month, I don't have any new games to give away this month. What I've got is I've got 2 games. I've got... I need to put that away, don't I? Dedo Cheng, 2nd edition. I think it is, and Towers of Amharp. Now, I say these are not new games. Okay, they're second-hand games. I've played them. Myself, I've played them once. These are games which I got from Essen last year. I have played them. I have done a playthrough video on my channel. Both of these games I have done a tutorial and playthrough video for. I'm not saying the games are not good, but I have limited space for my collection and I need to be chopping it down. And when I looked back at all of the games that I got from Essen last year, and I started ranking them as to which ones I liked the most, which ones am I going to keep, these two didn't make the cut. So they're not games which I'm going to go, which I'm not going to play again myself, but by doing the contest, I can pass them on to somebody else. As I say, I'm not saying they're not good games. I know players who enjoyed these games. It's just I've got limited space and I can't keep every game that I've got. So these are the two games that I'm giving away this month. If you are a Patreon supporter at producer level and higher, you don't need to do anything. You will be automatically entered into the contest, and this time next month I'll be doing a spreadsheet exactly the same as what I'd just done for the previous one, and you'll basically get a chance of winning that. If you're watching this video and you're not a supporter of mine and you want to be in with a chance of winning these, then please consider supporting me on Patreon or upping your pledge. Even if you just up it for a month, no problem with that at all. So that is the Patreon stuff. That is the contest for this month. Content that I have done this month. So in addition to all of the videos that I mentioned earlier on in the bit where I was talking about the games that I've been playing, I've also done an unboxing video for, I learned how to pronounce this and then I forgot. I think it's VA. VA Roads of Rome. The designer of this, Dom, basically said, Paul, I like your content. I want to send you a copy of the game. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. Are you expecting a review? Are you expecting a playthrough? Because I can't promise that I'll do a review of it. I'd love to review every game I got given, but that's going to be, 5 or 6 reviews a week probably. So I can't do that, which means I don't accept review copies of games, except this one. I said, look, I can't promise a review, but I'll take it to a local club. If I get a chance to play it, I'll talk about it on the video log. I will get a chance to play it at some point, but I can't promise when. And he said, that's fine. I just want to get the game out there. And if you're going to, and I'll put it into the library at GridCon and things like that. He was fine. So I did an unboxing video. I didn't promise that I would do an unboxing video, but I thought I'm going to do an unboxing video. So I did an unboxing video of that. I hope to play it. It won't be this month because of things that I'm going to mention in a minute, but hopefully in April or May, I will play it. But as I say, it's also going to be lent out to local groups as well. It looks really pretty and it looks kind of like my kind of game. So I'm looking forward to giving that a go. And if Patreon supporters want to see a review of it, then I basically every month, my Patreon supporters vote on the games that I'm going to review. So if they wanted me to review it, they would need to vote on it. Right, what else did I do? Oh yeah, I did the top 10, or my top 10 games of 2018. Yes, 2018. So, and it's a bit late, but it's not as late as it is. Yeah. Most people, everybody else that I know that does top 10 games of the year, does it at the end of the year. So most people did their top, at the end of 2019, they did their top games of 2019. I don't do that. I do it a year after everybody else. So I should have done it in December 2019. I should have done my top 10 games of 2018, but I didn't. I was delayed because I was doing other stuff and I only just got round to doing it in the last month. But that video is on my channel now. So if you want to find out what my top games were of 2018, you can go and check out the video. The reason why I do it a year after everybody else, I want more information, okay? I don't want to just get to the end of the year and go, oh, here's the best games, because some of them I've only played a couple of times. A lot of games come out at Essen and that is not enough time for me to evaluate that year, because you get the cult of the new. Whereas by doing it a year later, I'd be like, right, yeah, let's look back on that year. And let's look at all the games that came out that year. Because it's not games that I played in that year, it's games that came out in that year. So Just One, for example, made my list, but I didn't actually play it until 2019. So it wouldn't have been on my list if I'd done the list at the end of 2018. Anyway, it gives me a chance. Conflict of Heroes, the PC version of the board game, I did a live stream of that. Conflict of Heroes is a game which I really want to like and I really want to play more. I've played the board game once, and similar to Red Alert, Space Fleet Warfare, it's very dice based and therefore it's very luck based. Not saying there isn't a tactical element, because there is. There is a massive tactical element to the game, but at the end of the day, you're rolling dice to see whether you hit them or not. And if you roll well and your opponent doesn't roll well, you're going to win. That's just how it is. People who are fans of the game will probably disagree, but that you're hoping that the dice average out. Okay. Conflict of Heroes has actually got a PC version. They sent me a Steam code for it, and I did a first look. So I hadn't played the game at all. If you're interested in that, then that is on my channel now. It is literally a first look. Here's me loading the game and playing it for the first time. A surprising number of views on that video, like 500, 600 or something like that, which is it's a bit odd, because I did the how to play video for Cat Cafe, which I'm going to mention now. Yes, I did the how to play video for Cat Cafe, which is a video that took me, I think, 19 hours to create, because I scripted it, practiced it, filmed it, edited it, did all of the computer animations. It was a 19-hour project, okay? I did all of that for a game, and that video has fewer views, than me loading up a computer game for the first time with no prep, no planning, no nothing, just loading it up and playing it for an hour. And it's like, well, that's not fair, is it? I mean, I don't mean that's fair on me, it's not fair on the game. But anyway, Conflict of Heroes on the PC. If you're interested, I did a first look. It's okay. It's a bit different from the computer game. It's a bit different from the board game, because there are things you can do in a computer game that you can't do in a board game. So it is a slightly different implementation, but it's also based on the first edition rules. Now, since then, Conflict of Heroes, excuse me, has had second edition, which is a lot better, I think. And it's also just got the third edition rules, which are very different. So I'm probably going to play, in fact, I did play the PC game a little bit more that weekend, but I'm kind of thinking, do I want to play this a bit more when there's a newer version of the board game? But I don't have the board game, and I quite like World War II tactical skirmish games. Anyway, right, that is everything. I think that is all the content that I've done in the last month. I hope so. Sorry if I've forgotten anything. What have I got planned for the next few weeks? Well, tonight, I'm doing a live stream of 18 Holes. It's a golf game. It's on Kickstarter right now. And tonight, I'm doing a live stream of it. 3 of us are going to be playing it. We're going to be playing the Chaos Golf variant. So that is going live at 8 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, I am going to be doing a live tutorial and playthrough of Trickerion. Like last week, I didn't know that I was doing Trickerion at the start of this week, but I basically invited friends around on Friday, and then once I found out how many people were coming round, chatted on my Slack group for my patrons and went, what should we play? And the reason I'm playing Trickerion is my Patreon supporters have voted this month on Trickerion as one of the games for me to review. And I've not played Trickerion for a couple of years. I've played it about 4 or 5 times, but I've not played it for a couple of years. So we're playing it this Friday, and since we're playing it, why not live stream it? So one of my jobs tomorrow afternoon, speaking of, as I mentioned earlier on, the amount of time I am having to take off my work in order to produce Patreon content, tomorrow night isn't just getting together with friends and playing a game. I'm going to have to take a few hours off work tomorrow afternoon in order to relearn how to play Trickerion and how to teach Trickerion and work out which expansions we're going to use. Because I don't just want to play the base game, kind of want to use one of the expansions. But I'm not sure what expansions I've got, and I need to look at that. We're going to be starting at 7 o'clock. We're going to be starting earlier, because I think the game might run a little long. It might not, at which point starting earlier we didn't need to. But 7 o'clock tomorrow night, live tutorial and playthrough of Trickerion in preparation for my review, which might be this month, as might be the review of Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace and Trickerion are the 2 games that my Patreon supporters voted on the games that they wanted me to review this month. And why might they not happen this month is because on the morning of the 18th of March, I leave the country and go to the Czech Republic. Cross fingers, because of the coronavirus. I get back from the Czech Republic the week afterwards. I'm back for half a day, and then we fly to Portugal, where we have a little bit of a holiday, but also I'm going to Lyricon, where I'm also going to be doing some work. So it's a half holiday. I won't be back from Lyricon until the 1st of April, at which point it's a new month. And we're like, well, where's Paul's reviews? So I can't promise that I'm going to get those reviews done by the end of March, because, as I mentioned, I haven't played Trickerion for a couple of years. I need to play it. I've already organised the game for this Friday, And I have organised a game of it while I'm over in the Czech Republic, because it's basically work from morning, afternoon and early evening, and then we have a few hours off each evening to do something fun. So I've scheduled in a game of Trickerion with the guys from CGE. So I will have a couple of plays of Trickerion under my belt, which I feel is enough because I've already played it a few times before, so I've already got thoughts on it. They are just my refresher games. But there's no way I'm actually going to get the video, the review filmed, edited and up before the end of the month because I'm not here. So that will happen in the start of April. Crystal Palace I've only played twice. My plan is to get somebody around next week to play a 2-player game of it, and I might be able to do a review of that before I go away. I will try. It's a lot fresher in my memory, and I've played it twice in the last month, I think. Maybe in the last couple of months. I played it just before HandyCon, and I played it at HandyCon. No, I played it at HandyCon, and I played it just after HandyCon. That's it. So I've played it twice this year. Playing it once more, do I feel that's probably enough for a review? Not sure, but I will see. I'm also going to be doing a solo playthrough of Underwater Cities. So every month, thanks to the support of my Patreon campaign, I do at least one solo playthrough. Last month I did 4, so you get 4 for the price of 1. But this month, you might get 2, because I think Trickerion has a solo mode. But I don't know if I've got the solo mode. I don't think I have the solo mode expansion. So Underwater Cities is the one that I'm going to do. I might do that next week. If I don't do it next week, I might do it just before I go away to the Czech Republic. But Underwater Cities, I already know the game. So I'm just going to have to learn how the solo game goes. That is what I'm going to be doing this month. The solo game of On Mars, for those of you who are asking where that is going to happen, okay? That was voted on in January. I am going to do it, but I need Vittel to be available for me to help me out with it. And it's going to require a lot of prep. So that's not going to happen this month, I'm afraid. It is going to happen, okay? It will happen, and I'm hoping it'll be April. Arkham Horror Chapters 7 and 8. We're doing Chapter 7 next Tuesday? No, Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're doing Chapter 7. And then the Monday of the week after, we're doing Chapter 8. So the Arkham Horror Path to Carcosa campaign is finishing in the next couple of weeks. What's happening next week? So I'm not talking about all of the work that I'm doing, because I'm doing a lot of rulebook work in the background. I'm just talking about the videos that you're going to see. Next Friday, the 13th of March, I'm going to be doing 2 videos. I am going to be doing a live tutorial and playthrough of Geode, which literally just arrived. Just before I started filming, the doorbell rang, very wet postman turned up, and he's brought a copy of Geode. I haven't even unboxed it yet. But anyway, that is a game designed by Stuart Garside, Theo Clark. I believe they're going on Kickstarter with it, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's going on Kickstarter, and I'm doing a tutorial and playthrough video of that on Friday the 13th. Also, the same day in the evening, I am doing Paris, which is the new Kramer and Kiesling game. Kramer and Kiesling are a design duo that have been designing games longer than I've been playing board games. And I don't mean, you know, Mousetrap when I was 5 years old. I mean when I got seriously into board games in 98, 99, Kramer and Kiesling were designing games that I played back then. And they're still designing them now. And they're a great design duo, and Paris looks fantastic. So Game Brew have asked me to do a tutorial and playthrough video for that game, because that's going live on Kickstarter soon. I can't remember exactly when. It might be going live that day, or it might be going live just afterwards, but that's the day I'm doing it. So that's actually a week this Friday. Yeah, that's a week tomorrow. What day is it now? It's the 5th of March now. Tomorrow is the 6th. So yeah, that's next Friday. There you go. So other stuff that I'm doing. I'm going to be working on the rulebook for the new version of Clash of Cultures from WizKids, which I think is going to be a lot more work than I planned. But anyway, I'm going to be doing that. That starts next week. I'm doing a how to play video for Tranquility. Now that's not arrived. There's been some delays with production. So my plan is to write the script of that next week, but I might not be able to film it until I get back in April. We will see. Working on the Kanban rulebook, the Magnate rulebook, the Space Rate rulebook, which we're testing this afternoon. And I think that's it for my work. And as I mentioned, I'm off to the Czech Republic with CGE, so that's a week's worth of game development. And then I'm off to LyriaCon, where I'm going to be doing some work with What's Your Game. If you are at LyriaCon, please let me know. Please say hello. We are going to be organising some Patreon meetups. If you're not on the Slack channel, but you are going to LyriaCon, please let me know, because I don't want you to miss out on the things that we're talking about on the Slack channel. Personal stuff, as I mentioned earlier on, my painting mojo has gone a little bit. I'll get it back. I bought some more paints yesterday, and my next plan is to start painting the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth miniatures. But I still haven't finished my Flamme Rouge miniatures. I still haven't finished my Cloud Spire miniatures, and I haven't painted the ones from Red Alert. I kind of get bored and move on. We're watching Picard, loving it. We started watching Stranger Things Series 3, and we'll finish that this weekend. And Vicky started her new job this week, which is just up the road. So she's going to be home for lunch anytime soon. And that's everything. So I'm going to say goodbye now. I will see you in live streams either later tonight or tomorrow or next week or whenever. And I'll be back in April with the next video log. A little bit of a sneak preview. On the 1st of April, as soon as I get back from Lyriacon, I have a very special live stream. I know it's the 1st of April, but I'm getting back from Lyriacon and that's the day I'm doing it. So if you are around on the 1st of April, check out. I'll be doing something special. As mentioned at the start, or in the middle, thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for making this possible. Good luck to everybody for the contest next month, and I'm going to disappear now because the battery is running low on the camera, and I need to go and get breakfast. Until next time, take care, and thanks for watching. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.